A very good afternoon to you, our viewers. You're welcome to another wonderful episode of Punch Sports Extra. My name is Segun Odunayo, and we'll be having a very, very interesting program for you today. We'll be doing a review of happenings at the weekend, and we'll be previewing the UEFA Champions League starting tomorrow. Of course, you know when I mean starting, I don't mean it's starting from the beginning. I mean the continuation of what has been one of the most interesting UEFA Champions League seasons ever, especially with the beginning of a new format. I have with me here my co-anchor, my co-analyst, my co-presenter in Abiodun Adewale. Abiodun, very good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon to you, Segun, and first, good afternoon to you as well.
All right, very quickly, we'll be beginning with our front page, like we always do, the front page of Punch Sports Extra, the print edition, and it's a tale of different strokes for different folks, where we'll have some guys high flying and having a fantastic almost end of a season with their clubs. We have some whose seasons have ended even before the end of the season. Starting with the bad news, Paul Onuachu and his Super Eagles colleague Joe Aribo have relegated with Southampton. Their pictures are there on the front page this morning. Big man Paul, like they call him in Southampton, scored a couple of goals, but those goals could not save Southampton from relegation. Biodun, the fastest team to get relegated in the Premier League is Southampton.
You know, I had to check again yesterday when the news broke. I had to go check, was it Burnley from 2006 or Derby County?
Derby County. Those guys lost so much. They lost so many times that their name was known for losing.
It was synonymous with losing. And you would have thought that, oh, did they even win any match at all? Until yesterday, then I realized that Southampton did what they could not even do. Incredible.
10 points.
But for our Nigerian players, you just have to feel sorry for them. Like what we say, you know, you now wonder what the future holds. The last time they were in the championship, when they got back to play in the Premier League this season, Paul Onuachu was on their roster then.
Yeah.
He was playing on loan in Turkey.
Yeah, then he came back.
Then Joe Aribo was very instrumental to their coming back. As it is, we also understand that at this moment, like Ivan Juric has probably left his job too as their manager. So it depends on who is coming next, what plan he has for these players, and you know, Onuachu, for me, it looks like one particular player that might be on his way out.
I don't think he will go down.
Then
he's too big for that.
Joe Aribo, maybe. Literally, it's too big for that.
It's too big for that. 6'7" or so. So it's too big for that.
Maybe Joe Aribo will still want to stay one more time. There are not so many interests around him, but let's see what happens in their 7 matches remaining in the season. Maybe some clubs might just.
It doesn't even start anymore.
But he gets some number of game times. It's like we used to say, he's been coming in and out of the team, starting, not starting. But he's racked up to about 20 appearances already in the season. So let's just see what the remaining 7 matches are up to, and maybe if they will remember. Onuachu looks to me like he's destined.
On his Instagram, there are always Turkey supporters. Come back to Trabzonspor. Come back to Trabzonspor. Every time.
And I think with the way things are going, Nigerian players have this Turkey heritage. A social media influencer said something about Austin JJ Okocha and maybe one other player who have been in Turkey for some time. Turkish fans still haven't got over what Okocha did in their league many years ago. Now Victor Osimhen is doing wonders again. Paul Onuachu was there last season. He banked 15 goals in the regular season alone. So it shows you how much these guys love our players.
And there are many Nigerian players unknown who are there just...
There's a certain Nwakeme who spent many years at Trabzonspor too. He became like a cult. And
he left Trabzonspor for another Turkish league. He was around.
So it looks like our players have this very good legacy.
Even now, there are still some guys there.
Anytime they play there.
Not too popular, but they are still somewhere in Turkey earning their dollars or euros.
And I like the fact that these fans stick around them, monitor their progress, and they still want them anytime, any day to come back and play in their league too.
All right, talking about the guys that are high flying with their club, literally high flying, like the high flyer in their clubs. On the front page this morning, we have Calvin Bassey and Alex Iwobi, who is enjoying his akpu and egusi soup. If you saw that video, it was a good one for them. A sweet victory over Liverpool. Yeah. You might not have been too pleased, but you know, a pleasing score for members of the Super Eagles of Nigeria. 3-2 against Arne Slot's men. Somehow, this season started really well for Liverpool. Yeah. Towards the end of the season, all the cards are falling apart. The Salah for Ballon d'Or noise has gone down. Man may not even make top 4 at the moment. He's been stuck on 27 goals in the Premier League. Can't go higher than that at the moment. Refusing to get assists and goals. FPLers are complaining because our captain has continued to sink our team. But a good one for Calvin Bassey yesterday. Fantastic performance for him. Alex Iwobi, a goal and assist, and he has done 30 goals and 30 assists. The only Nigerians have done that in England.
In England. You know, the moment Alex Iwobi made the scoreline 2-1 yesterday, I was quite pleased that, okay, regardless of however it was going to end for Fulham, it was going to be some kind of good headlines about Alex Iwobi because he's in his best season of his career. And he still feels like about a week ago, or maybe before the international break, or immediately after the international break, it seemed like Iwobi was done this season. But just yesterday, he proved to us that no, I'm not done yet. A goal and an assist, taking his tally to 8 goals and 5 assists this season. He's contributed 13 goals already for them. And look at the numbers he has racked up. He's now the second Nigerian with the number of appearances, the second highest appearances by a Nigerian player in the English Premier League. This guy is underrated. You might want to say, okay, he was born there, he was raised there and all of that, he started at that now. But for a player that had his ego bruised, playing for a team like Arsenal, moving to Everton, but finding his feet again
with Fulham,
trying to help a team like Fulham get into Europe next season, it's a big deal. And it means that he still has some bigger roles to play in that team if they play in bigger competitions. We were expecting him to make a move to a Champions League team, but I think he knew what he wanted to do in England. By the time he will be ending his career in the English Premier League, he will be one of the best Nigerian players to have
and he still has years ahead of him.
And he has the years ahead of him. So, but for Liverpool too, losing 3-2 against Fulham yesterday, a lot of people were saying Liverpool perhaps should have got a draw and all of that. But I just feel it's more of Arsenal's loss than Liverpool's, because this is the time that Arsenal will be regretting losing
those games,
those points, because the race will have been really tight and they could be well placed in the title contention. As it is, I just told them there are 21 points still for grabs. You don't expect Liverpool to drop. I saw them plotting some. No,
they should forget those graphs. They are not Super Eagles fans. It's Super Eagles fans that do calculations.
That do that. So, and for whatever Salah, whatever underwhelming run that Salah is having at the moment, I think it's good for Victor Osimhen, because by the time the debate for who gets the African Player of the Year comes up again, it puts our guy in good light.
Talking about Victor Osimhen, it's right there on our front page, and his club, his parent club Napoli, are said to have told clubs, you know what, guys, Victor Osimhen is for sale. We are reducing the fee. Just come and buy him. I think this was a very, very wrong move, considering the fact that last season they could have sold him for very good money. And even at some point, they were the ones, according to reports, frustrating the move and all of that. But they could have gotten 100. They could have gotten 75 that they set. They could have gotten 80. Even 85 when Chelsea was desperate those 2 days to go. Perhaps it could have worked, or who knows what went wrong. But now, they are the ones now saying, our market, we are ready to pay less. But why are they trying to sell him for less? And they said they want the deal done as fast as possible.
For Manchester United, because they don't want him to join any of the rivals, especially Juventus in the Italian Serie A. They know the kind of player that Victor is. And I think, for instance, too, he has expressed his straight in straight that he will not be playing for Juventus. I don't even expect him to stay in the Serie A.
And do what?
United are like the front runners, but you know, they look like, as much as you think United throw money around, they do their business in a very shrewd manner. If not, they would have got a player like Victor Osimhen like 2 seasons ago. But instead, they bought 9.5, they bought 8.5. I saw the two of the players yesterday. They only have 3 goals each. They only have 3 goals each in the Premier League so far this season. And I used to tell people too, in the season that United had the opportunity to sign Osimhen for whatever amount Napoli were putting on him, I'm very sure that they will have gone for Harry Kane instead of Osimhen at about that time. But it looks like they are now pushed to the wall. But it doesn't even seem that they don't want to offer. It seems that they still don't want to offer that 75 million euros that Napoli are asking for. And at this point, so Napoli are just saying, okay, for Manchester United, we are ready to reduce the price. As long as they are interested in doing business, you will be able to go. You are
sure that if other guys don't bring the same money Manchester United, they want Manchester United to pay, they won't sell him off?
At this point, it's not about the money for them. As long as it doesn't go to Juventus,
Doesn't he stay in Italy?
And he doesn't stay in Italy, and definitely he's not coming back to reunite with the rest of the squad. So they know that he's bound to leave. And for a player that has about 28 goal contribution in 32 games this season, I expect his valuation to be skyrocketing at the moment. But Napoli just want to do business the way they want to do it.
All right. Lastly, on the front page, before we leave entirely, Ruben Amorim. It looks like all our topics are connecting this morning. Ruben Amorim of Manchester United said he wants big players in the summer. What does it mean by big? That's the big question here. What does Amorim mean by big? Because Zexi was big to him.
Well, big. Maybe he's talking about proven players whose integrity, whose capacity and
capability cannot be negotiated.
Cannot be negotiated at all. Maybe that's the kind of player that he wants. But to me, he's not that kind of manager to me too. We know where he's coming from. We know the kind of players that he built.
He has managed.
We know the kind of player that he has managed. He trusted the process with these guys and they delivered. But a lot of people will say United are as good as their coach. It looks like tactically Amorim sound, but the results aren't just coming. Is it the kind of player that he's using and all of that? And if you look at their current squad, how many big players in quotes are there? They've bought players from defense to midfield to attack. They've reinforced. But how many of these guys are really proven players that you can really throw into the game and all of that? And they really need to challenge very, very well next season. They really need to challenge, especially on the domestic scene, and regain their form. So maybe when he's talking about big players, he's talking about players with proven prolificness and prolific stats that can give him the result that he desires.
Last season, they failed to qualify for the Champions League. Of course, this season, it looks like they definitely will not be making the Champions League at the spot they have. Very quickly, we'll be moving away from the front page now. Of course, if you want more stories exclusive to Punch Sports Extra, go grab a copy from your vendor down the road while you take a cup of tea, or if it's Gary you like, enjoy yourself. Very quickly, we move on now to the reviewing what went down at the weekend in the English Premier League. First, to be starting with England, and of course, the biggest game, what should have been the biggest game of yesterday, without a doubt. The Manchester Derby, the last Manchester Derby for Kevin De Bruyne, the Man City wizard, the Man City maestro, who played the last derby for the last Manchester Derby. And guess what? That was the first game where he played 90 minutes for Manchester City without creating an opportunity. Creating records, bad records in his last couple of games. But it wasn't his fault entirely, because that game was quite drab. A game of the midfield, a little bit of the attack, because there was nothing really for the attackers to do. The guys flexing the muscles while the guys in the middle of the park. At the end of the day, 1 point for Guardiola, that looked more like a loss, and 1 point for Ruben Amorim, which didn't do much for him as well.
Whatever it is for the result, I don't think it will have made any much difference for Manchester United, but a win could have done something
for
big
City,
for Manchester City, and that's why it will feel like a loss on the part of Pep Guardiola. Right now, they are fighting for their lives to get back into the top 4, and it looks like they might not just. If Chelsea had not played around football against Brentford 2 yesterday, they probably will.
Well, it could be 5 this season. The Champions League qualifiers from England could be 5.
It could be 5, depending.
So
on
perhaps they are in a safe space.
Yeah, so they might just have to calm down and see how things go. But then they have to grab their destiny with their hands. All
right, still talking about about English football. Chelsea drew against Brentford yesterday. Biodun already qualified that game, and people were asking, why was Cole Palmer benched? Is it because of Legia Warsaw on Thursday? Apparently, Chelsea fans have qualified Legia Warsaw as a team that was not big enough to cause them damage. But their manager, Enzo Maresca, did not think the same. At the end of the day, they got 1 point yesterday away in Brentford.
Well, I think Maresca had an explanation for not starting.
Of course, he always does.
Of not starting Cole Palmer. Just a few days ago, he was saying they are a different team when Nicholas Jackson plays. But yesterday too, he didn't give him the starting shirt.
Was keeping him.
There is no way. There are no 2 ways to explain it. He has something bigger. He's keeping those guys from. But at some point when he saw that they needed them, they brought them on, and there was really nothing that they could do in that game too. They are looking good in whatever position that they had at the moment. They just have to keep it going. But points like that, I don't think they should be dropping it.
Arsenal also could not grab all 3 points against Everton. Somehow they ended up getting a point out of that encounter. Their star boy, like they call him, Bukayo Saka, also did not start, perhaps because of the fact that he was just coming back from injury, or it could be because of the Royal Rumble expected tomorrow at the Emirates against Real Madrid. But somehow they got a point.
No doubt about it, it was against Real Madrid. You have to preserve Saka to play against Real Madrid. It's a big deal. And he's just coming back from his second game since returning from injury. He scored on his return last Tuesday?
Yeah.
In one of their games.
On the first.
And now he's coming back. Rushing him into a game like Everton, when tackles are flying, and all of that, you don't want to risk.
You don't want
to risk him against a team against like Everton. So, but let's just keep our fingers crossed and now see what they are up to against Real Madrid in the Champions League.
All right, let's talk about Liverpool now, even though we did that very earlier, but we'll talk about it very quickly. Loss of points for Arne Slot, but they're champions in waiting, I guess. I think we can all agree that they're champions in waiting.
Delay is not denial.
Delay is not denial. Regularly, we move away from England to Spain. And there was a lot of pain in Spain at the weekend. A lot of Spain to go around in Spain. We start with Real Madrid, who drew 1-1 against... lost 2-1 against Valencia. They had not lost against Valencia in years. But somehow, it started very, very badly for them. And they said it's only 3 things are sure in life these days. The sun coming up, the sun going down, and Vinicius Jr. missing a penalty. He missed that penalty. He didn't even act like he was interested in scoring, actually. It looked like he was more interested in missing than scoring. And there was a quick raise of the arm from the manager because a decision had to come. And the next penalty that Real Madrid have has automatically been given in waiting to Kylian Mbappe.
For Vinicius Junior now he holds what is the name of this Valencia goalkeeper?
That long name. He's a Liverpool goalkeeper.
A Liverpool goalkeeper.
He's on loan with Valencia now.
Yeah. He owes him £50 because of that penalty save too.
It's $50.
£50 or €50 because they made a quick bet before the ball was kicked and all that.
That's why he acted.
The way but whatever happened in the La Liga over the weekend looks like aura to me. Some kind of aura that was transferred from one part of Spain to the other. Because after Madrid lost, I felt like,
it's over.
Barcelona. But then I saw them against Real Betis
struggling
the following night, and I felt like, what? And Gavi won the player of the match. I was like, how did you? I saw
your tweet because I was watching the game and I was just enjoying the fact that Barcelona was acting on Barcelona on the day.
And you know, from the moment they started, they looked like they were going to take Betis to the cleaner.
Yes.
The first goal came, but before you knew it, Betis
came back.
plotted a very sweet. Look at the way they won the corner kick and the way it was executed. Then the guy who scored the goal, who scored the header, was at the center of everything between midfield and defense, doing every blocks, making every tackles, and he was there. I expected that person to pick up the player of the match award at the end of the ball, but it didn't happen. But at the end of the day, it's just about aura, the aura of the negative aura coming from Real Madrid now affecting Barcelona, and it looks like they won't be able to extend the gap. But I don't know how well Real Madrid are going to be able to bounce back and see how much of a gap they can close up before Barcelona wakes up again and just run away with this title. And talk about aura too, talk about players just fumbling. Rafinha that we've been saying here can give Salah a run for his money.
I was saying it. Rafinha now, no, his goals have dried up. His assists.
Everything seems to have dried up, and he's looking like a frustrated.
He's just using anger on the pitch, fighting everybody.
And I saw Lamine Yamal in the same game. Yeah. And I felt like maybe he was overdoing things to me at some point because
trying so hard to be the new Messi.
Sometimes he takes a little bit of just a touch too heavy. And the Real Betis defenders are just waiting for him to make that heavy touch.
And then they take the ball.
They just win the ball easily. They don't have to bring him down and all of that. Barcelona didn't even win so many dangerous free kicks on the edge of their hair. So, to me, it was about horror. But look at who took advantage. But they are far off to Atletico Madrid, winning 2-1 yesterday.
That game was another, Atletico Madrid and they are...
Coming back from the golden against Sevilla.
Exactly. against Sevilla. But Sevilla has not been the same Sevilla we've known over the years this season. Very quickly, we move over to Italy, and it looks like Atalanta can't stop losing. They are in the form of their life when it comes to losing. They just can't stop losing at the moment.
3 games in a row.
Yeah, they are loving. Now they have to fight for the top 4, because if they don't make the top 4, it means there's no Champions League for them next season. At the point, they were the ones who are actually dictating play in the league. But you know, in football, it's not how you start; it is how you end. Liverpool, Atalanta, everybody, Barcelona, even Real, everybody right now, they are in a state of a state that we can't exactly define. But the big one again in the Atlanta game was the fact that Ademola Lookman was substituted mistakenly. The manager said he called and God. The manager said he wanted another player off, and they didn't.
But they processed it.
What happened to those guys? That was the biggest news from that game. Not their loss, but the fact that the manager said he mistakenly. How can you mistake?
Because to process a substitution, it takes about at least a minute.
You will submit the number, then you drop the number, and then
maybe it was until they raise the board that they realize it's not number 11.
My goodness, I don't think I've seen a player say I will not come off. I will not come off, but I've not seen.
We've seen players substitute themselves.
Yes,
Daniel Amokachi.
And we've seen that. I've seen players say I will not come off Kepa Arrizabalaga, but I don't think I've ever had a manager said we mistakenly substituted. Oh, why are you outside? It was you. That manager this season has given us a lot of lots of things to laugh about.
Lookman had some kind of off game to me yesterday as well too. So it wasn't surprising when I saw
Retegi equally had a bad game. 5.9 rating on SoFa tells you that for the guy that is topping the scorers chart in Italy, I mean, he couldn't have had a worse day.
And look who took the shine in that game.
Yeah.
Fisayo Dele Bashiru, coming back from injury, starting his first game.
Powerful assist.
90 minutes, giving the match-winning assist. You know, there are match-winning goals, but there are no match-winning goals without that kind of assist.
Exactly. Fantastic assist. Napoli somehow grinded out their 3 points.
They're facing Bologna tonight.
Oh my! I beg your pardon. Juventus. I beg your pardon. Juventus they've actually grabbed those 3 points out of the Lions' mouth, and it was a good one for them, because right now they are likely going to end in the top 4 as it seems. They need that Champions League if they are going to be attracting big names, especially if they are truly serious about Victor Osimhen. I don't think Osimhen will want to anyway. It's Manchester United that's coming for him, and they are not even going to Europa. Except, of course, they can win the Europa League.
They are a team in crisis, and you know, after the exit of a manager, these are the kind of things you expect to.
The league is still not settled in Italy. Inter Milan, Napoli looks like they are the 2 guys that will be slugging it out in the games remaining right there in Italy. Talking about Germany, in Germany, the big boys are still the big boys bossing it. Bayern Munich looks like finally, after many years of playing football professionally, Harry Kane may just be winning a trophy. It looks like it's this season. Everything looks right now favors him.
The stars are aligning. I think it's safe to just say congratulations in advance to Harry Kane. Finally, he's going to be winning a trophy. And guess what is happening now? There are already talks that maybe if he gets the title that he's been longing for, maybe a return to England is on the cards for him.
Those reports are already really popular right now, especially with the English media. They think he has business to settle in England. I think they want him to become the overall the highest goal scorer ever in the history of the Premier League. Going past, surpassing Alan Shearer. We'll see what happens.
They probably know that the luck of winning a title in England might be so hard, so let him please himself there without frustrating himself whenever he comes back to England.
All right, very quickly, we can't live without talking about our own NPFL, and you know what we mean when we talk about the NPFL. Sweet football, fantastic football, but not without its drama. Ikorodu United yesterday spent well over 1 hour in the dressing room of Shooting Stars of Ibadan. Not because they were praying after the game, not because they just wanted to have fun, but they were in darkness. I saw those pictures because the fans of Shooting Stars were angry, and the security people said if they had come out after that encounter, anything that they see, they should take it. Eventually, it was police escorts.
Military.
Police escort. Oh, military. I saw the police. The pictures I saw were police
Saw
guys.
military too.
Oh, I mean, security forces aligning to protect Ikorodu United players outside of that stadium. That stadium there. Why?
One, in the NPFL, in a local derby like the Southwest Derby, regardless of whether Ikorodu City are new boys or not, it is one, do me, I do you. Let's keep that. You did this to us in Lagos. You are coming to Ibadan.
You will see in Ibadan.
That's one. Two, 3SC have come out to explain and saying we had to take that measure because our fans were fighting us and our management. So we had to keep them there so that they won't come out to come and
they were throwing things. They were throwing things.
We saw them practically throwing projectiles
yes.
and every other kind of objects at players and even of match officials immediately at the end of the game. But you have to keep them in the dressing room. Put off the lights in the stadium.
There was no light. Those guys were putting on phone.
Because there was no light in your dressing room too when you came to the Mobolaji Johnson Arena to come and play them. So these things are barbaric. And regardless of whatever you want to call it, they were held hostage. Their boss was damaged. And of course, some of their fans were injured too. So reports will fly. And with the way I see things that will go, it is the 3SC fans that will be getting most of the punishment, and it will indirectly affect the team. I won't be surprised if they are playing their next 3 matches behind,
away from home, or even away from home.
Or even away from home too.
Another controversy that happened this weekend in the NPFL. It looks like we are talking about the controversies. We are not highlighting football points, but we'll talk about that as well. Was the Lobby Stars encounter? Lobby Stars Sunshine, I think you said you tried to reach out to the Sunshine spokesperson, and no comments for now, but definitely we should get comments about the Lobby Stars spokesperson having a conversation on radio about how they were going to, throw games, match fixing. You need to listen to those I was dazed. I would never have expected that such conversations would go on radio.
Yeah. It wasn't really about a game that was upcoming. It was about games
the
that
past,
played.
yes.
But then everything that the media officer of Lobby Stars said in that audio were unfounded, because he has to come out openly now and present more evidence. Because as at last night, he had even come out to make some more clarifications about the involvement of coach Daniel Amokachi. That no, Daniel Amokachi was not involved, but he had warned the club that players were involved in such acts. I've had conversation with some players too within the team, and they tell me that this man is even one of the problems of their teams, because some of these allegations that he's making against them are baseless. How can they use? So for every accusation, there are defenses and counter accusations elsewhere too. So I think the problem of Lobby Stars is deeper than what we see. And this their media officer, to me, has to come forward with concrete efforts. He
was not having that conversation in his house.
And you know it.
His phone was not bugged. He was on radio.
He was on radio. And to prove anywhere in the world, I think to prove allegations of match fixing, you have to do deep investigations. And it might take even a number of time. You might have to track, you might have to have been doing some underground work still to be able to come out with a concrete evidence that truly these people are doing this thing. So that man has a case to prove. If he really wasn't just doing an emotional blackmail on these players who have lost a number of games, 14 games without a win. They're
in relegation,
and they are bound for the second division.
It looks like they are going down
as a team. So a lot of things are going wrong with that team at the moment. So if they are making allegations, there are so many counter allegations and counter
for one of the biggest teams.
Biggest
when Antonio Okpotu was banging in goals for fun, they won the league with Lobby Stars, and 19 goals or about 19 goals. Tony Okpotu. Unfortunately, things are not the same with Lobby Stars at the moment, but the champions in waiting, like Biodun has called them, I think last week or so, lost away from home in the 80-something minutes. 84th minute. Oh my goodness. I mean, you would have expected Remo to get something out of it. But anyway, they have a game in hand and a couple of games to go. They're topping the league. It indeed looks like it's Remo Stars season. And if it happens that way, my goodness, I think I should be in that stadium, the last home game of the season. I'll be there. I'll definitely be in that stadium if it happens. I mean, the nearly men becoming the eventual big boys of the league. Time has gone. Unfortunately, we can't go any further with this show today. You have to join us next week Monday for another bumper package. A very big thank you to Abiodun Adewale for being a part of this, and a big thank you to the viewers, because like I always say, we are here because you are there. Have a fantastic week. Stay out of trouble. God bless you.